All right, guys. Today I want to talk about something we see almost universally when couples struggle with their sex life. And yes, lack of education is part of it. Ego and arrogance for guys can be a problem. I was referencing in a previous video that 80% of women can't orgasm from penetration, and I had a comment that maybe 80% of the women you're with, but not the ones I'm with. I got news for you. I've had a lot of stories where the guys who thought they were amazing lovers, the women don't think so. And they're like, oh yeah, I've slept with a lot of women, but no long-term relationships because the sex was bad, and they just don't come out and tell it. But what's the universal problem we see most of the time in longer term relationships when there's a disconnect or problems in the sex department? It's the inability to talk about sex. Most couples can't. And when I say most, we're talking high 90s. Can't talk about sexual satisfaction, sexual wants, desires, what works, what doesn't. You think about it. We've been brought up in a society that has shamed you for sex, either your family, your church. The church is great. They shame you about sex, tell you it's bad, it's wrong, it's dirty, until you're married. Then they're like, okay, for 20 years we've told you it's bad. Now it's great and it's awesome because you're married. It's one of the worst things they do to people, okay? So part of this is because of lack of education. So what can you do? You've got to self-educate, and you have to understand, for a man who has a completely dissatisfying sex life, understand it might be dissatisfying for her too. But I'm going to tell you, if she's not willing to self-educate, to learn, to work on this issue, you're never going to have a good sex life, let alone a great sex life, as long as she is not comfortable even learning about sex. So, books, education. Unfuck Your Intimacy by Faith Harper. Great book. Hey guys, Becoming Cliterate. Probably the most important book for men is She Comes First. And there's also a follow-up book for that, He Comes Second, for her. And then one I have not read yet, but I'm getting ready to, Emily Nagoski's Come Together. I got an autographed copy. We got that at the Tool Shed in Milwaukee. Because when we travel, we go and look for the boutique sex shops. So if you can't talk about sex, you can't work on sex. If you can't, even if you try to foster connection and intimacy, it makes it difficult. Keep in mind, between two consenting adults, there's nothing wrong with anything you want to do together if you're both on the same page. But you don't even know what that is until you can talk about it. If you've gotten to the point you want to talk about it and you want to figure out what other tools might we have to explore, feel free to shoot me an email down below. I will send you a yes, no, maybe list that is designed for kinkier people by Melanie, okay? I also have a more basic one that we sat down and did this exercise here a little while back. And we started with the basic one, and quite honestly, it was like, okay, this doesn't work for us. And then Melanie had developed one because she does a lot of coaching and counseling of people in the kink community, and much more detailed. It's like 5 pages. So you got to be able to talk about it or you'll never improve it, guys. All right? Have a great week.